Yeah, so Johnny
will be back.
Yeah, Johnny will be back. He just left.
His phone rang.
We want to welcome Joe Zanders to the show. Not Saunders. Don't be confused with his cousin Dion, Mr. Primetime. This is Big Joe.
Yes, sir.
He's a president in boxing. He's obviously the former USA national boxing coach for the USA team in the London Olympics. Welcome to SLiC Talk.
Appreciate you coming out.
Thank you very much. I have to add to that I was in the 2004 Olympic Games as well.
Yes, sir.
Oh, that's a bar.
With the last male gold medalist.
Yes, sir.
Andre Ward.
So,
yes.
Yeah, I was very blessed to be a part of that with Coach Abdullah, Bashir Abdullah, and Coach Brad. So I just want to make sure I don't leave that.
No. Let me know first and foremost. But I just want to get to this question: why is Andre Ward the last gold medalist?
It's a good question. In my experiences dealing with this stuff at a national level, I think the one thing you point to is the level of talent that we have on the national team. When you look at, for example, to just simplify it and give you a shorter answer I can give you, you look at the English heavyweights, for example, today. Yes, yeah. Look at the Russians heavyweight today, and look at ours. When you look at ours, you'll find that our most talented athletes are either playing football, basketball, baseball, or running track. They're not boxing. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, it's easy for us to figure out that now in America, what has happened to us is we're identifying our athletes and formalizing sports at an early age so that kids are being picked to go to SC when they're in the fourth grade.
Right.
No.
And at the end of the day, all of those sports are school sports. They're collegiate sports, and boxing doesn't fit in either one of those categories, and nobody's doing anything about it. So all the athletes are going somewhere else. And you played football. You look at a guy who played football or basketball.
I played mostly a lot of different sports.
Yeah,
I
did too.
Oh,
the champ is in the house.
All right, Carl, two Williams in the house. All right.
We got Apollo Creed's brother in here. Apollo Creed.
Apollo Creed came in the house. Yeah, all right.
Step back.
We got the Mad Hatter. Hey, don't hurt him, Johnny. Don't hurt him, Johnny.
Yeah, Johnny.
Don't hurt him.
Yeah.
Don't hurt him.
Yeah, Johnny. There he is. Yeah, Big Johnny in the house.
We got the champ in here.
Yes,
Johnny
sir.
Pride.
Yes, sir.
The big time champ.
Yes. The champ is here.
The champ. What's up, Johnny? Come here.
What's going on, fellas? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
What
Got
up,
Coach
Johnny?
Joe in the building. You know how to get excited. You know what I'm saying? Get ready. You know what I mean? Time for
Yeah.
action. You know what I mean? Let's get ready.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah, let's get him, Craig.
No.
Yes.
Johnny, great intro.
Yeah. Way to set it off
Okay.
for us.
Great intro.
Yes.
But yeah, you said and you're kind of right. I mean, I played different sports. Boxing at the time wasn't that much appealing. For me, it was more, basketball, a little bit of football, baseball, just the other sports in that regard. But yeah, I totally understand what you're saying. The likeness first and foremost, but I feel like everybody likes boxing, but doesn't everybody do not want to box? You know why? Because I think they just don't want to get hit.
No, of course not.
Well, here's the thing. If I could interject something.
Yeah.
This just most recently, I don't know if it was Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, but we had a young fella get hit on the football field on the first play, and he's dead.
Yeah, that's true too.
And here's the thing. And I'm a sportsman. I love all the sports. Obviously, it wasn't as good as you to get to the level you achieved. Otherwise, I'd have been playing. But the point is this: when you look at all of the sports and you look at boxing, people we tend to socialize ourselves into sports, and we make it if it's something we like, we make it appealing. That kid just died. Somebody else got hurt, but it's okay because that sport is socialized into a process where people love it, and you can get hurt and they'll just make an excuse and go on and play.
But I agree with what
boxing.
you're saying.
What happens with boxing is the very people that play that sport or pushing it, they will tell the kid, "Hey, you don't want to box, you get your nose busted." And boxing is not appealing. Boxing is just being a part of the national team and traveling places in the country. You'll find that if there are several different sports together, and somebody drop paper on the floor, you know what? You know who they think did it? The boxers.
Right.
That's just the appearance. That's how things are presented. And until we change that, it won't change. Some of the nicest guys that I've been around are boxers. I've been with several names. If I call their name, you'd know who they were, right? I didn't have that. I just mentioned them, you know who they were. But I never had a problem when it was time to do something. Coach, let me know when we're ready. I'm ready when you, whatever. But you would think that based on what you hear, because somebody has problems with their life, they think that they may have had some social issues, they automatically brand boxing as that. And boxing is not in the schools. So it has a very limited chance. The people that we used to attract, we were fortunate to have the likes of Andre Durrell and Andre Ward and the kids who just won the medal in Paris, the bronze medal.
Yeah.
We're fortunate to have them because here's the problem. When you go out and pick a team, you're picking a talent. You were coaching if you were coaching the high school team where you went today, there wouldn't be any walk-ons. It would be tough for a walk-on today, anywhere. Yeah. Back in the dark ages when I was in school, there were walk-ons. There were guys that walked on and you were like, wow, we already knew the dude could play and he was going to play. Right. But today that's not going to happen because they have searched every nook and cranny and they know who the athletes are.
Well, they're
not going to sneak up on
them. They
them.
literally, with the new deal that the NCAA just settled with, they took walk-ons out of the picture completely.
They're not going to happen.
There are no more walk-ons.
Right. It's not going to happen. So the point is that the talent pool is there. If the four of us are coaching in the Pac-10, 12, or whatever, or the Big Ten, we're going to be coaching at the same level because I'm going to get some talent, you're going to get some talent, we all are going to get some talent. And boxing is a different world. We take whoever walk in the gym.
There you go.
And when somebody walk in the gym, I can't turn them away. I'm praying that I could teach them how to do something good enough that they could be competitive.
Right.
So in the process of getting these people, you're going to get some people that are pretty good. The people you're taking to London are not like the people you have going out for the Raiders or the whoever, the Rams. These people are selected. Yeah. We're not selecting them, and it's unfortunate because I keep hearing people trying to blame the coach. And the sad thing, I think it's part for what's happening with boxing is the leadership is not approaching it the right way. They should be saying what I'm saying. We should be saying to the American families, hey, boxing deserves a fair chance too. One of the original 8 sports in the Olympic Games. Yeah. And kids are not going to get hurt any worse. Matter of fact, the stats say that they'll get hurt less in boxing. And if it's taught right, because in too many cases, boxing is not being taught as a science. It's being taught as a brutal fight sport. And what you see in MMA and the other play, that's not boxing. Matter of fact, MMA is improving. Right. I see the science. I see the technique. I see stuff that I didn't see before. I used to work with, I quit working with MMA guys because I didn't like the brutality of it. But the point is getting better. And what we need to teach is the science of the sport. A nosebleed means something. In amateur boxing, your nose is bleeding, they ain't gonna just let you go on with your nose bleeding. Yeah. We need to stop it. So it looks barbaric to the person who plays football because once you get hurt, they take you out of the game or whatever. So we just need to clean it up, but it needs to have a fair chance in the sports world for kids to do. And in our world today, I've seen kids come into baseball and some other sport, basketball even, and in football, where they become a one-sport athlete. Then they end up with repetitive motion injuries because they're playing it year round. So that's not healthy, but then they're going to keep playing because they're looking at the money possibilities. But sports like boxing need to have a chance because a big guy like yourself, if you learn how to box when you're a kid, just learn how to do it and maybe mess around with it part of the year. The possibility of you going to the Olympic game might have given you a chance to do something special, where the spotlight just would have been on you. And you didn't need 4 other people or 9 or 10 other people to be with you. So if someone dropped the ball or missed a tackle, you don't get to go. Yeah. So just learning how to do it would change the world. But we don't have that opportunity in boxing. So what we have and what you see, people want to blame everybody. It's the institutional mentality. If something go wrong, they're going to look for somebody to blame. Sure. The bottom line is We don't have a Lomachenko going to the Olympic Games. And so when we see a Lomachenko, he's going to beat us.
Right.
We're not going to beat him. It is not the coach's fault.
And he's a grown man.
Well,
fighting
he's
sandwiches.
talented.
Yeah, right.
He's one of the talented guys from Ukraine. We were at the World Championship in 2011 when he was there, and he and 8 of his teammates won the World Championship. And so that's not by accident. It's just like I said. When you can recruit people, you got talent. You don't win just because the coach is good. You win.
Right.
John Wooden was at UCLA for how many years before he won the NC2A?
Yeah.
When he won the NC2A, it just
best
started.
team.
He got the right people. He got the talent. And other coaches got wise after that. It took them a few years to catch on. But once they got the talent, things turned around.
Mr. Zanders, let me ask you this. When you're seeing and you're looking at a young boxer who could possibly do something, what attributes does that young boxer have that you say, oh, I can do something with that kid right there?
Well, I think the first thing, of course, you look for is somebody who's willing to listen. Right. And then they got to bring some things to the table. They got to have the ability, they had to show you some athletic ability. And along with this, you need a chin. Because no champion it's greater than his chin. If you got a guy a girl who's gonna go somewhere, they're gonna get hit. Just like in football, you got to be willing to get up and do it again. If they scared you so hard by hitting you, then you're done. So if you got the heart to take it, then sometimes it may happen, but you got to come. And then you got to be able to get some. I always tell people this: to win a boxing match, you need 2 real things other than being in shape. Some of the common things we all would agree on. You need to have a chin, and you need to be able to get respect. How do you get respect? When you put hands on somebody, they need to step up. In other words, I can dance like Ali. One of the things that made Ali great. And by the way, nobody's greater than me in his eyes for a whole bunch of reasons. But there were some great champions who exceeded what he did. But the thing is, what made Ali special in our era is the fact that he could take a punch like nobody else. And if you look at the Thriller in Manila, you'll see something special. When he had to get in the trenches with Joe Frazier said, you know what, dude, I'm bringing it. And I knew Joe Frazier, a great guy. He said, I'm bringing it. I'm not giving you, you're going to have to deal with this. And Joe stepped to him. Ali stepped up his game. Sit down and put hands on Joe Frazier. And after about 3 or 4 rounds, Joe Frazier said, oh, no, I can't take this. This guy is not kidding anymore. So it comes to a point where you can run, but like Joe Louis said, you can't hide. So you're going to have to offer him something to make him respect you. If you don't make him respect you, he's going to come. You can dance all night, but then he's going to catch you if you keep dancing. But with the dancing, if you can make him respect you, you can beat him.
Right. Well, Coach, I was listening to when you was talking about as far as teaching and the kids and stuff right now. What do you think would be a good gateway for us? Because, like you said, most kids in the neighborhood want to play basketball, football, baseball, those type of sports. Baseball is good too, but like boxing is like almost a last resort.
Well, you guys have a great opportunity, and I hope I can stay on your question, but you have a great opportunity. Boxing needs an ambassador to put the word out with parents to let their kids box. Because the problem in our community is we're not allowing our kids to box. If I could add something to that, back in the 80s when I had this young fellow, Ray McElroy out of Long Beach, California, who went on to become an All-American, lost to Roy Jones. We thought we won in the 1987 National Golden Glove Tournament of Champions. And then in 1988, we came back and we beat in the semifinals. We get this kid, Ray Latham from St. Louis, a left-hander, and Roy Jones draws Joe McClellan in the semifinals. I know you heard that name, Joe McClellan. Sure. He was middleweight. He went on to become middleweight champion of the world. But he gave Roy 2 standing 8 counts. We beat Ray Latham from St. Louis and moved to the finals. So we had Gerald McClellan, who was the previous year National PAL, Golden Glove, and U.S. National Champ at 156. We fought him that Saturday night and beat him and went on to the Olympic trials. And the story goes that Gerald was told that he didn't need to, because you had to win that to go to the Olympic trials, or you had to be invited. Gerald was told that to go home and they were going to invite him to the Olympic trials. Well, they lied to him. They invited Roy, who didn't win anything. So we ended up getting a razor close loss to Roy Jones in the finals of that event. But I had Ray, and he was a kid who had some talent. He wasn't the best guy in the world, but he had a world-class jab. He was a good athlete, But these guys have been boxing for a lot of years, and they probably had a better coach. I probably wasn't that good, but I what he did, I complimented, and we did really well. And he came close. But fundamentals are what you have to work at. You don't have to do anything special. If you were a champion of the world, that's not going to help him. Because the first thing a coach who boxes will tell you, well, when I was boxing, I did this. Well, you're not boxing. It's a different guy in the ring with a different mentality, and you just can't put yourself in him like that. So you teach them the fundamentals just like you do in the other sports, and the great ones are going to go places.
I'm glad you said that, because like in sports, parents always like kind of push their kids because they didn't make it. You know what I'm saying?
Right. Well, they're living through it.
They living through their kids. So I like that automatically that you're like, no, it's you. It's somebody else. I'm not gonna tell you it's it's you. You gotta get in that ring. So
Coach, I have a question. When we talk about boxing and we talking about the relationship between a boxer and a trainer, the way you guys are able to communicate is something I think that could be beneficial to teachers, coaches, and just people who are in authoritative positions in general. In establishing that relationship with that kid, what are some of the things that you look to do to be able to coach them when they're in fight or flight mode? Literally, after 3 minutes of being in fight or flight, you sit them down for a minute. They have to be calm, and they have to accept your instruction. And that has to be done with the history of understanding who that kid is. But what do you do to foster those relationships to be able to coach them in those moments?
Well, what I did to make that happen was, first of all, I build a relationship with the kid on the daily. Just we're sitting here talking. You get to know a little bit about me in this situation, and in each situation that we deal with, you get to know a little bit about me. When somebody walks in the door and challenges, you're going to learn something else about me. That's going to help you to be confident with me. You're going to be confident with me either way. You can go, Coach Joe is going to run out the back door when he comes to the front door. So be ready for that. You already know what you're facing. Or when you go down, Coach Joe is going to be standing with you. See, the boxer's going to learn things about you just like all the other athletes. And, you can tell if the coach is freezing up a little bit when you're down by 1 point and you got the ball or they got the ball and you need to get it and something big needs to happen. You know what's happening. And it's like that in every sport. It's like that in boxing. So you learn about the kid and the kid learns about you and you become a family in a sense. Everybody that I've coached that have gone places, I've kind of become their father in that sense. Their dad. And it's something that I remember with Ray, his father, I never forgot it because I was a young coach at the time. He said, Joe, he says, I'm going to give you my son to coach and I'm not going to interfere. He never interfered. Never once interfered. And so that was a starting point for me that helped me put me on a path to understand how I had to deal with athletes. I can't deal with them through their mother or father. And if I got to do that, I want to coach them. But to answer your question in the situation, so we know each other a little bit. I know him a little bit and he knows me. So in pinch time, I know he's probably going to be a little hyped. And so what I need to do is get his attention. I need him to take a deep breath and calm down. And what I do is I deal with it in practice in a way that I'm going to deal with it in the match. He knows how I'm going to say, man, relax. We're not fighting. I want you to listen to me. You understand what I'm saying? I'll tell him once and I say, you understand? And then I'll tell him again. And then I'll remind him of little things like keep your hands up or whatever. Stuff that he knows, but he ain't going to, there's so many things out there that he may not remember those little things. I saw a kid get knocked out a couple of weeks ago because someone forgot to tell him some little things. But the thing is, that's primarily how you approach it. And it's an everyday thing. You stay with the basic stuff. There's no secret to this stuff. There's some chess being played. And you're a chess player, and you got to know how to move your pieces. And people will come and they think that by being around you, they know how to move the pieces. Well, try it. It's not that easy, man.
It's a little different, huh?
Yeah, it's
absolutely.
But yeah, that's how I would handle it. Young kids.
So, hey, can you tell us about the upcoming event that's coming up right now?
Oh man, the Blue and Gold National Invitation.
Yes, let's go.
Blue and gold.
That's
Blue and gold.
And before we go in with that, a little sad news to report, man. My good friend Bob King, who started the Blue and Gold 42 years ago at the Olympic Auditorium. The name I mentioned, Ray McElroy, Kelsey, Mr. Mix Bank, who was on the 1988 Olympic team at 125. Kelsey lives in Las Vegas now. He was 125 pound in that tournament. Shane Mosley, who you know very well,
Shane.
was in that tournament. He was 10 years old when he started it, thereabouts.
Oh, yeah.
So those are just 3 names that I know from we boxed at the Olympic Auditorium. And God rest Bob King's soul. He passed away a few weeks ago.
Rest in peace. Yes,
But he started this tournament. So we participated in it, and it never stopped after that. There have been some years when it didn't take place, and then we had the COVID issue. But we're going to carry it on in his name, and hopefully next year we'll name the Outstanding Boxer Award after him, because people that do stuff, make great commitments to the kids, sometimes we tend to forget them, and I don't want that to happen.
Right.
You know, but the Blue and Gold National Invitation is a tremendous tournament. We've had kids come from other countries to participate. This year we may not have, but we had kids coming from other states. But next year we're going to blow it up, because we had to turn some kids away this year because we didn't have enough officials to let it get too big, and it got over. We got over 200 bouts, over 350 entries, and we got people calling every day. We got calls a day. People want to get in. We can't let them in. It's just not enough room.
Where's it going to be, sir?
It's going to be at the Compton YL and in the fair city of Compton.
Yes, sir. Compton, California.
Yeah. Matter of fact, a lot of the major stuff since I've been at Compton has happened there, and we're going to continue to do it because Compton has got some good talent from there, but you get a bad reputation attached to that. So we've done some great stuff, because we have kids coming here from all over the state for the California State Silver Glove Championships in December. And January, we have everybody coming for the Region 8 Silver Glove Championship from like 7 states, including California. So it's going to be huge, and we make it big. So I hope you guys will make it. You're invited.
Well, you know, we
appreciate
we are commentating, so we're gonna be there. We appreciate you guys having us. So
Absolutely.
it's gonna be a rumble in the jungle.
You're gonna see some of the best young kids that you will be amazed.
Right.
Kids as young as these young boys and girls, and you see their skill level. That's the thing that's so neat about it. The last 2 gold medalists in the Olympic Games didn't box in Compton, but they boxed in the Region 8 in the state, California State Golden Gloves. Silver Gloves, and in the Region 8 Silver Glove Championship, which was in Southern California.
Oh, okay.
Let's
you
talk,
know who those 2 people are?
I'm thinking Andre Ward. And who else? I can't think of the
Oscar
second.
De La Hoya.
Oscar
De La
De La Hoya.
The last 2 male gold medalists.
The Golden
Boy. It was in the Silver Glove and in the California Silver Gloves in the region.
So I'm from Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And I know that we have a pretty significant boxing tradition that comes out of this city. Can you name some of the gyms and where they're at to kind of give the people an idea of?
Yeah, first of all, Jim, I had a lot to do with getting started, but I didn't give it the name. Jackrabbit in Long Beach. Those guys do a good job down there. Ivan and young guy Ashton is a great little boxer that I had the fortune's father asked me to help him out a little bit back when I used to be there, and it's great to see him doing well. And I just want to say, what happened to him this year could happen to anybody. He'll be back and he'll be better, I think. So just to throw that out there. But you got a lot of gyms here in Southern California. You got the Fabella Chavez Boxing Center over there in Carson, has been around for a long time. You got Coach Ben Lira out in South El Monte that's had his gym for a long time. You got what's his name? Coachella Valley, Lee Espinoza and Coachella Valley. We got guys all over. We got 6 counters we're talking about. We got the program in Oxnard, the Oxnard PAL.
Huge tradition.
They're going to have the National PAL there in October. That's going to be huge. With I expect great things from that. That's a huge tradition. You got of course, we have the Compton YL program that we're building, and there's also a Compton Boxing Club in Compton. We got the Maywood Boxing Club.
Broadway.
We got the Broadway. Let's not forget that Broadway Boxing Gym. I probably shouldn't have mentioned anybody because I can't remember all the names sitting here. But there are a huge number, and we got a lot of new clubs. We got my good buddy Rudy Garcia, called Team Garcia over on Broadway, right near Manchester there. He does a great job with his program. He had a good show, a great show Sunday out in Watts at was it Nickerson Gardens or someplace out there? Yeah. So there's a lot of teams that are there, and a lot of them are coming along. And boy, you asked me that question, and I can't remember all the names anymore. But there are we have a lot of good clubs out there.
I'm
good.
Very
thinking
strong.
Freddie Roach.
Freddie
in
Roach got a good
Hollywood.
program because Superman does a good job with them.
Estrella is I can't think. He's in Eastern LA somewhere.
Yeah, there's the Eddie Heredia Boxing Club in East Los Angeles. You got the. By the way, guys, you're here in Los Angeles. I would encourage you to go down to the South LA Sheriff, and maybe somebody could help them to get a coach and get that program going. You got a program there that's kind of like stagnated because they're not providing anything for those kids. They sometimes they brought them down to us and had them do a little sparring, but he didn't even, the deputy don't even have a coach every day. That's terrible. His kids are there. This is how they end up in trouble because nobody's dealing with them. They deal with you when you get locked up, and that's the only time in some places.
So what would it take, or who, like, as far as coaching? I mean, I'm sure it's like, you gotta love it. You gotta, be around it, of course, So let's say if somebody wanted to be interested, because just like, with basketball coaching, I think it's kind of, I wouldn't say easy, but you can kind of volunteer for like your park and recs and stuff like that. How can someone that, possibly may want to give back and, possibly get into coaching boxing?
Okay, well, the first thing first of all, you need to know what your commitment is. How many days a week you're going to be available. You need to understand what it takes to make a boxing program happen. It's not like basketball where you can have practice Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and you're okay.
Every day.
It's a 5-6 day a week grind. You don't have to be there all day, but you need to be able to get the kids going and keep them directed. So that's the first thing. But to get it involved with the amateur boxing program, what you need to do is sign up with USA Boxing. To sign up with USA Boxing, for me as a coach, cost me $122 this last time. And that means that I'm a member of USA Boxing. I have liability insurance to protect me in case somebody want to sue me. There's even medical insurance if I want to use that. Most of us use our own insurance. And so I get certified. You get that every 2 years. Go through a little certification program. I go through the first level. I'm at the most advanced level, but they've changed it with the new regime. So they got younger people coming in trying to get to their third level. We had 4 levels, and I was one of the people that was doing the clinics, but they've changed all of that, which is fine. But you can go in, when you go into USA Boxing, you can sign up. You'll get your little green certification when you first sign up, and you'll have to undergo a background check. You will have what they call a safe sports little course you go through, and then you have to go to the state of California. The state of California requires youth coaches in boxing to take what they call the concussion protocol with them. It's just, they just teaching you about how to recognize concussions and stuff like that. And they give you a certificate. You show it to our registration person when you get registered, and you get registered and you're good to go. And every year, every calendar year, you have to get registered with USA Boxing. That's how it is.
When a boxer's training for a bout, a professional, and they go into what's called camp, what's a daily schedule for a guy who's in camp? What kind of discipline? What kind of discipline do they need to be able to get through that?
Okay, so there are a few different approaches you can make to this. First of all, if you're using the science of swimming, some of the other things that you could do. Some people cross country skate. Some do. They may even ski in the wintertime. So you can do that. But the primary thing is you can never break away from running, because that is the oldest cardiovascular and the most scientifically proven cardiovascular that you can use for any sport. The foundation for any sport is that. And then secondly, you have to, so you're going to determine.
How long are they running, Coach?
I would say it depends on what the situation is. From some people go overboard. I think from anywhere from 1.5 to 3.5 miles is more than sufficient, because first of all, you're not going to fight on the road. You got to learn how to deal with it. Just like if you're playing basketball, you're going to have to spend some time in that gym with that ball in your hand or doing your defensive drills, because you're not going to be out running on the track all the time. You know what I mean? So those muscles have to get trained how to do it, and they have to get tired, and you have to work them through being tired and how to help them to overcome. And then the mentality with it has got to be there. The confidence is going to grow if you do it the right way and keep working at it. You know, even if you get beat today, you can still do it and still believe in it. It's going to get better. You know, so yeah, so you just what you're going to do is you're going to set up how you're going to do your road work. You're going to deal with diet. You're going to talk about eating. What are they going to eat every day? Kids need to be told specifically, or their parents, hey, he needs to be able to. He needs to stay away from bread. He needs to stay away from sugar. He needs to stay away from the sweet drinks. They need to know that, because some people don't. You'll be amazed that some people don't know that stuff.
Right.
You need to. There are certain foods you identify, like white rice is going to turn into sugar. In
It's funny you say that, because you're dealing with basketball players. You see them walk in the gym, hot Cheetos,
because they can get away with that.
And you hear the nutrition part of the sport, and
big old plates and stuff.
And the reality is, basketball players don't realize it, or football players, but eating junk don't help them, because see, it doesn't show up like it does with a boxer, because he's by himself. He or she is by themselves. When you're in the ring, you're by yourself.
Put them on more often.
So your performance is going to show up like, oh man, something is wrong with this guy. What's he doing? But then you don't think about it when a guy's missing the free throw. You could go back and ask him, what did you eat last night? Had a Twinkie or something?
Right.
You don't realize that. All those things are a factor in performance.
Yeah, it matters. So that's just like even with sex, right? Because I know in basketball, the rules like
wait. We just not gonna come in here and disregard or disrespect basketball like we just out here eating
I'm just saying
Skittles every day in this.
No, man, we play
First
ball.
and foremost,
Nutrition is not for the kid who plays basketball. A lot of times they're not thinking about.
Yes,
nutrition.
it is, because it goes like this. Do you put, what type of gas would you put in a Ferrari?
There you go.
You don't put 87.
You better not put 87.
I'm just saying. So in that model, we know the best performance is what you put in your body.
Right. Nutrition.
Right.
So some of the greatest athletes, though, have no discipline.
None.
And that's where you're different than a lot of other people.
Because then we got like cigar smoke, right?
Exactly.
Like all that stuff.
So we make exceptions, and sometimes people get away. You see some guys, and I'm sure you grew up with some that did some of the craziest things, and then they had some of the most success. Man, how did you do that?
100%.
He was doing this last
like
night.
Jordan.
Hey, Mike.
See, listen, that's why when this guy's talking about my shirt, and he's questioning why Zab is there, and that's the reason why Zab is
Wait,
there.
no, Joe, no. So can I get
just
to a
have to
question?
say
Is there
that.
anything that you heard, like a crazy story from a champion boxer that he went and did the night before he won a fight?
I can't think of anything offhand. And if I did, I probably would be sworn not to tell it.
Okay.
Do that.
Tyson.
Tyson lined him up. That's pretty good.
Right. Yeah. Speaking of
Tyson, see
Tyson,
Buster on his best
speaking
night.
of Tyson,
Yeah.
Coach, what do you think about that Tyson Jake Paul?
Well, I think if Tyson got anything left in his leg, Jay Paul could be in a world of trouble. The other thing you have to think about this, and I say this about guys that I love and know really well.
Yeah,
I wish when they quit that they wouldn't mess around, because here's the deal: there's a reason why you quit, and you guys are athletes. You are at the point where you quit being competitive like you were. Right. And there's a reason why, because you didn't have those legs anymore.
Yeah.
And you're fooling yourself when you think you got the legs to go out and do. Now, Jay Paul may still have the legs to get away and to move and do the things that could create a problem. The easiest thing about when you're boxing, if you're just messing around with it and you're hitting a heavy bag and you're 50 years old, that bag isn't going anywhere.
Right.
You can hit it, and every time you hit it, make you feel like, man, I can do this again.
Right.
Because the bag doesn't go very far. It'll swing away and come back. And I'll knock him out if I hit him like this. Thing is, when you got a bag on wheels, it may not stay there like that. And when you're dealing with somebody like Jay Paul's got good legs on him. I was watching him with the last guy. He outclassed the dude so bad that my man was like lost when he got close. He walked into punches because he had to try to get close to him, and he didn't know when he was close enough. He found out too late though, because he got hit when he walked into the punch. So the only hope for Jay Paul is that he could move Tyson around the ring and have that confidence to do it. And one of the things I've always liked about Iron Mike is that he never allowed you to be comfortable in the ring. And if Mike can make him uncomfortable, he'll beat him, because he'll hurt him, because he hasn't been hurt like that before. He'll hurt him bad. Because Mike, we know he can punch.
If you're training Jake Paul, what's your game plan?
To move Mike around the ring. When I don't want him to be a stationary. I don't want him to be a body bag, because if you're a body bag for Mike, you're not going to last very long. Exactly. Even an old Mike Tyson will hurt you.
So
okay.
you say move around the ring, right, for Jake Paul. Would you specifically also be telling him to use a jab if he's not doesn't have like a really good jab?
Well, I'll say this: when you use your jab when it's to your advantage, you want to use your jab as much as you can because you want to give him a job. You want to give your opponent a job to defend himself. You don't want to let him just walk up to you doing what you doing nothing. If you're jabbing, you know that he may counterpunch, so you got to be ready for that. But you jab him, and you want to give him some fakes and feints. You want to constantly do that to him to let him know I might punch. And sometimes when you do it, you got to punch. And then you fake after you punch, and sometimes you fake before you punch. You want to make him think. You want to sell that to him.
Yeah.
Okay, that's like the thing. The Dr. Pavlov. You want to make sure you teach the dog how to saliva, so he rung the bell and the dog starts salivating. You know, he taught him how to do that, and that's what you want to teach your opponent. That's what it comes down to. From the early part of the fight, you have to let him know, here's the program for the night, guys. You know, and you have to make him follow it.
Right.
If you can do that, you can win. Tyson wants to get Jay out of his comfort zone. If he can get Jay out of his comfort zone, Jay want to float to his left. All night long, I'd be on his left shoulder making him go the other way because he ain't really comfortable with it if he got to keep doing that. He wants to get in a situation where he can get away and take a deep breath. You don't. It's like I used to tell my guys, hey, you know what? Eat you some garlic and onion because you want to let him know when he smells your breath, every time he smells it, he gonna know you close to him.
Right.
Training him, right?
Okay.
If he ain't comfortable, he ain't winning.
That's some good tactics. I remember he wore some shorts every day, and they stunk. And that was just like, hey, they ain't gonna stick me, coach. I'm like, what? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but that was his thing.
So who are your favorites in today's boxing era?
My favorite in today's Bud Crawford. Bud Crawford. And Earl Spence is one of my favorite guys.
What makes Bud so special?
Bud's special because there are some things that he's well schooled, but I saw him in the amateurs fight his way through a lot of stuff and sharpen his skills in the ring, doing stuff that he needed to do to be where he is. The kid is there are some things, greatness you don't teach. And there's something, when I look at a kid in the 9th, 10th, and 11th, 12th round that can hurt people, that's something special about that.
Yeah.
It's not like I'm a great coach and I made him great. This dude's got something special that someone else doesn't have. What he did to the kid from the Puerto Rican kid from Philadelphia and
Danny Garcia.
I know Danny, really good kid, good boxer,
Yeah.
great knowledge of the game. And what he did to my boy
Errol Spence.
Before Spence, what's his name? That's doing the announcing.
Is it Malinaji?
Showtime.
Oh, y'all know what you're talking about. Yeah.
What he did to Showtime. Remember that fight? Showtime is one of the toughest. I know his father real well. He went to the World Championship with me, and he's they're a good family. I work with his older brother. This kid is talented, and when Bud hit him in the late rounds and dropped him, I'm like, hey man, this dude he's legit. He was legit with me before that. But that kid, I know him from the amateur. He should stop. He was Showtime was not really 165 pounds. He boxed at 165 in the amateurs because he played football and he was bigger, so he didn't want to have to try to lose the weight. If he'd boxed at 147, nobody would have beaten him ever. The dude was that good. He was strong. He's tough. He's fast. He got all the tools. But when he went against Bud, and Bud did what he did to him, just shows you how special he is. And then when you saw him against the Cubans, the Russians. And I wanted him to be on the Olympic team, but unfortunately they had politicked him off. And I thought, man, this guy's got. I thought they had some pretty good kids, but I thought this kid was a kid that would really show up big if they took him. And he ended up going home. I remember he called me because he got into a fight with somebody, and somebody who tried to jump on his buddy or something, and he ended up. I told him, you should call the USOC ombudsman, man. He said, no, coach, I think I'm gonna just turn pro. So he went ahead and turned pro. And the rest is history. But you saw how he handled the Cubans. You saw how he handled the Russians. And the guy he just boxed was way bigger than him. And people would criticize him like, oh, man, well, he didn't stop him. And that dude was 2 sizes bigger than him, man. He wasn't even supposed to be in the ring. He should never get in the ring with Canelo. He's too big. Canelo is probably 200 pounds. You know, he don't need that stuff. But to show you how good he is, he handled that Russian like he owned him. And I kept hearing the announcer say how good the Russian. I saw him land some right hand leads, but I didn't see him do that many of them that I was impressed with him.
Right.
You know, I saw Bud put some work on his body. I saw Bud catch him with shots up top. And he handled it like you're supposed to handle it. Because it's a boxing match. He's a man. You can't disrespect him like he ain't going to never hit you. But the thing is, he got hit and he handled it.
Can we throw some names out there or some potential fights out there, and you can tell us who might have the advantage? Canelo versus Benavidez. Who do you have in that one, and why?
I like Canelo, and I wouldn't want to give an answer that some people think I wouldn't like him. But I think Benavidez is probably one of the best punches I've seen, and I'm anxious to see if somebody can challenge him. I think that the fight with he and Canelo would probably be a really super fight. It would finally be a super fight for Canelo, other than the Russian. That Russian fight he had was because the Russian showed him up, and unfortunately, I think Canelo has a chance to really make himself who he think he is. Because to me, he fights little guys, and fighting little guys don't prove you anything. Like wanting to fight Bud.
Right.
That doesn't. To me, it doesn't get you anywhere. You're not fighting anybody. It's like fighting your little brother or something. But if he fight a kid like that, I think he has a chance to let us know how great he really is. Because that kid is at that point where he needs somebody to let him be great, or he's gonna make somebody else.
Each other.
You gotta
So
fight the
need
big
each other.
boys.
And it seemed like Canelo's avoiding that or something. I don't know who's responsible. It seemed like Canelo's holding up. He got the last word, and he's not making it happen.
Well, when you're the top dog in that regard, does he pick and choose his battles, right?
Well,
like when they get to that level?
Well, you know, as a boxing fan, we expect that the best boxers, that the guys who are at the top of the division will fight, so we'll have a king.
Yeah.
Now, you can let there be a whole bunch of kings thrones around you if you want, but that's your problem if you allow that to happen. Yeah. One of the things I like about Floyd, he fought everybody. People say, well, he dodged people. I don't think Floyd dodged anybody. He was waiting to fight Manny for a long time because Manny refused to take the blood test.
And De La Hoya didn't want to fight him.
And De La Hoya didn't want to fight him. And finally, when that happened, he showed the world about who De La Hoya was.
Body shot.
Okay? So I think he beat De La Hoya before he got to the ring. And you want to know why?
Yeah.
You know what he did?
Oh, with the dress stockings?
He came out with that sombrero on.
Oh.
The fight was over.
Yeah, the mind games.
It was over.
He did. Yeah.
He took his culture away from him right there in front of everybody.
In front of everybody.
And they fought on Cinco
like
de Mayo.
Brag about the culture and stuff. And Floyd said, "Oh, okay, I'm gonna show you something."
Yeah, that was.
He did.
Sure did.
He took it. People don't realize that, but that's essentially what happened.
Would you take Pretty Boy Floyd or Money Mayweather? Who you think wins that one?
Oh, you Pretty Boy Floyd?
Pretty Boy Floyd.
Oh, you mean in terms of name?
Well, in terms of, I feel like they're two different guys.
Well, I have to tell you, I have to be honest with you because I don't want you to say, well, you didn't tell me this. I'm going to tell you this. 1996. I spent a month with Pretty Boy Floyd in Germany at the World Championship. Antonio Tarver, guys like that. So
He beat
I'm a
Roy.
Pretty Boy Floyd fan. I'll never forget what he did in training camp when he started jumping rope. He had everybody on the floor. The guy is hitting the speed bag and jumping rope. No one does it better than him. That's the kind of guy. And one of the classiest guys that I've ever been around. Whenever we went to do something, he said, "Coach, I'll be in my room doing my homework." And then I remember hearing something about Floyd can't read. Or write, whatever. I'm like, who said Floyd can't? So I didn't get into it because nobody asked me, and I don't try to go out and say I know him and all that stuff. But that's the funny. The guy says he's going to his room to do his homework, and someone's saying that he can't read. I don't know where they get that front stuff from. But Floyd is a class guy, man. He Pretty Boy Floyd was the guy.
He was cold.
He was the young guy, and he broke his hand in the World Championship. He lost the match to the Romanian, I believe. And I'll never forget what he said to me when he came to the corner, and I was with Coach Jesse Ravello from the Army, and Coach was talking to him. I said, "Floyd, how do you feel?" He said, "I think I broke my hand." I said, "Your hand broke?" I said, "You want me to stop the fight?" He said, "No." He goes back out there with a broken hand.
Wow.
And when he was in the corner, I said, what he did was he go boom, boom. And most people you teach it throw a jab, right hand hook. He threw a jab, right hand, and he would wind up with the hook. And I said, "Floyd, you can't wind up with your hook when you throw it." I said, "If you do, the guy's going to throw a counterpunch and catch you while you're doing that." He said, "Okay, Coach." And it's a habit. He wasn't able to change it. So he goes back out there and he tries to do it, and the guy catches him with right hand. He kneels down on one knee and take an 8 count. That's how smart he was. He knew the game. He got it. He felt it, so he stopped.
Right.
And so he got the message. But the kid is really, as a 17-year-old kid, he was really sharp. And I always remember that. So Pretty Boy Floyd is my guy.
All right.
And I'm always a fan of his.
So how you feel about when he lost the Olympics?
They robbed him.
They robbed him.
Hey, listen, you watch. Look, at that time, I didn't think that Roy Jones should have been there because I thought we beat him. But I personally was pulling for him because I thought I know him. I knew his father. We competed against each other, and he's a good guy. He didn't judge the fight, so I was for him. And they just robbed it. They couldn't have done a better job with a gun. That wasn't even there wasn't a fight.
Right.
If you saw it, you were saying they should stop. This guy's you don't want to be a witness because you got to tell the judge, I saw him and you didn't stop it. They put you in jail. It was bad. He beat the Korean to death.
Yeah,
and they just literally robbed him. But Floyd won easily too. They took it away from him.
Yeah.
It's the problem with the Olympic Games. It's the problem with boxing in the Olympic Games, and it shouldn't be a problem with boxing. It's because generally the people look at who they got involved.
Right. Yes, definitely. As you know. Okay, so Coach, can you give us like probably your head to toe boxer with different attributes?
Well, you mean current boxer?
Well,
whatever.
Your ideal boxer.
Your ideal boxer head to toe.
Well, man, I don't know if I could do that today. I would have this. Well, I could do that. I had the good fortune of working with some good guys. I remember when Antonio Tarver, Andre Durrell, Andre Ward, especially, and I remember Andre Ward from training camp and how he handled himself. I remember. Nobody really picked him to win. I didn't see no news media talking about Andre Ward was going to win. And I knew him because I've known him since he was 10 years old, he and his coach, and I knew his dad. And I remember as a 10-year, I had a kid, George Lopez, who was one of the probably most exciting amateur boxers in the country, and everybody respected him. He and Andre fought to a standstill in the Junior Olympic Championship national final, and Andre got the decision. But I always thought George did a lot of great stuff. Got older, kind of got away from it. But Andre probably does, and I had the good fortune of being able to work with him and confer with his coach, Verge, during the time we trained for the Olympic Games. And pretty much the stuff that he did was the kind of stuff you want to do to be successful. Andre is the kind of guy, he could move. He could get in the trenches with it if he had to. When it was winning time, if you watch him in the Olympic Games, he started getting after that guy in the finals because he had to get after him. But normally he wouldn't stand in front of you and do that stuff.
Right.
He kept trying to get him with the right hand. He knew he had to because he knew what he was up against. And when we boxed in the Olympic Games, Andre never weighed over 173 pounds. He was boxing in the 178-pound weight class. That's how we had to make him eat ice cream to keep his weight up because he really wasn't 170. He moved up. So that because I guess his weight might have been a little borderline for 165, but he could have made it probably because the guy wasn't not because his weight was started to come down and would say, man, you got to eat something. You can't let your weight get too low. But he was probably my idea of what you want in the boxer: foot movement, ability to do all the little things that you need to do, the fakes and feints, the lateral movement, the punching and using the world-class jab, the ability to put the punches together with speed. His reflexes was nobody had better reflexes than he and Andre Durrell, another one. Just really solid kids. And when you talk about our guys, you're talking about kids that were younger than the rest of the world. So these aren't seasoned veterans who's been around for a long time. Right. And Andre Ward, of course, went on after that and he remained undefeated through his short pro career. Did a great job. Give him credit for what he did. But yeah, he would be one of the guys that I thought Coach Verge did a great job in developing him from the time he was young. And I thought that Andre Durrell's grandfather did a great job with he and his brother. So those are the kind of guys that I like to see when I look at boxing. And of course, you asked me that question, I think of Bud Crawford, man. He's just special. He came along the same way and developed his game. And he's the kind of guy that if I had to pick a boxer, I would want him to be something like him as well.
Can I throw a name out to you and get your thoughts? Gerard Boots Ennis.
Ennis. I like Ennis and what his folks does with him. Great. He's got really good talent. He good fundamentals. Not the big puncher though,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's what he's going to have to make people respect him because that is what I'm talking about. He's a good defender, but you got to make people respect him and get him off of him. That's where he is right now, and I think he can ascend. He's not. I don't want to see him go against Bud Crawford.
I think it's too soon, right?
He's gonna prove anything there. But I think when you get past Bud Crawford, I think he has a chance to do something. And I like what he does. He's a good. I like left-handers. He's special. It's like a left-handed baseball player. There's something about the swing of a left-hander that you can't match. It's different than a right-handed swing, man. It's picture perfect. And I like him. He's a really good kid.
Okay. And so, what do you think about the GWOAT?
The who?
The GWOAT. Clarissa Shields.
Clarissa.
Oh, Clarissa?
Yes.
I was supposed to be with her in 2012 when I left the team, and I knew she would do well. And I'm not the least surprised by her success. I think that it could have been managed better because she should have gotten more. She should have more out of it. Anytime you go to the Olympic Games and win not one gold medal, but two, somebody ought to take you and help you to parlay yourself.
Right.
And I'm sad to say it, but I just think she didn't get treated right. She hasn't been treated right. She hasn't been recognized right. And the other question I was asking myself just last month, why isn't Clarissa at the Olympic Games giving out an award or something?
Right.
Why is she at ringside? You got people announcing who didn't win a medal, and she's at home.
Yeah.
That's just a question I ask. I'm just curious. I mean,
No, you're right.
I think that we all ought to be asking that question.
Yeah, she should definitely be there representing.
You know, anytime they have a national championship, she should be invited. 2 gold medals. No man has ever. We've had guys go to the Olympic Games, didn't win a medal, lost in the first or second round, went back. One went back 3 times, never won a bout.
Right.
Wow.
And they got all kind of respect. This woman didn't just win 1 gold medal. She went back and won a second gold medal and then left the sport and turned pro and still undefeated. And nobody bothers to say, man, this is the greatest boxer in our program ever. She is. She is the greatest boxer ever. I know there was a lot of little politics things going on when I was there. But I've always had nothing but regards for her, and she's always been respectful toward me. And she was a 16, 17-year-old kid, and I know they were putting stuff in her ear and stuff. But she's always been cool, and I've always supported her because she is that kind of person. She's a good person, and she was an immature kid coming from the neighborhood, but she's handled herself well as far as I'm concerned.
I'm glad you said that.
What were your thoughts on watching Devin Haney and the PED scandal that he had with Ryan? Well, what are your thoughts on PEDs in boxing, and do you think Ryan, do you think he got what he deserved?
Well, first of all, I'm not impressed with people who do any kind of drug enhancements. Doesn't belong in sports. We worked boxing. You have to be like I should say sports. You have to live like a monk to do it. That means you have to be able to honor. You got to be honest with yourself. You got to give up things. You got to make sacrifices. You got to sleep when other people are partying or doing whatever they're doing, and you can't take any shortcuts. And it should not be done in terms of preparation for the event. Preparation should involve sleeping, eating, training, relaxing, getting ready for what you got to do. And so, no, I'm not a fan of that. I'm adamantly opposed to anybody taking any. I've had a boxer, I believe, who's a victim of getting hit by somebody who was taking steroids. And if I had to tell it today for good reason, I'd tell it. But I believe the guy was on steroids. So as far as that goes, I have to tell you again, and I would be remiss if I didn't tell you, I coached Ryan at one point. And so he won the National Silver Gloves with me when he was a kid. I think I had him probably up until he was about 14 or 15 years old, and I wasn't going to the Nationals with him, so I let him go. And I wasn't looking to sponsor anybody because I felt like I was giving him free training and stuff like that, and I let him go. But he had him and his brother and black kid. His last name is King. I think he's with Canelo now. He was a good left-handed kid. He was a pretty good kid. So they went on their way, but I watched them. But I think that Ryan doing that is an embarrassment.
Yeah, I think so too.
It's an embarrassment because that's not what we want, and that's not what is being taught here, but he's a grown man now. He's making decisions. It's just like, your parents teach you well, and you got a responsibility to go out and represent the family the right way, or you can do it the wrong way because they didn't teach you to do wrong.
Yeah.
And so what he's doing is misrepresenting amateur boxing. We don't do that stuff, and I never taught him to do that. And the other coaches he had, I don't think they taught him to do that. So what he's doing was a mistake. It's a bad judgment. Sometimes, like, people have the Ben Johnson mentality. Ben Johnson, who decided he'd do anything
To win,
to beat what's his name, our 100-meter dash guy. So he did what he had to do to win. Took the steroids. So it's like he'll do anything to win. And some people do anything to win. So Ryan's wrong.
Right.
And
So
go ahead.
I was just gonna say, who
Okay, go ahead.
who are your best boxers from Los Angeles?
Oh yeah, it's a great.
Like
question.
who's your top pick of best boxers from LA?
My best boxers from Los Angeles is I had you got to go with the guys. I think about some of the guys I had. They didn't get to the pro. One of them didn't get to the pros, but you got to go with Henry Tillman and Oscar De La Hoya. And the kid, who's the third guy on that 84 team? He was from here. He got himself in a little trouble.
Sugar Shane?
No, it wasn't Sugar Shane. Sugar Shane's one of the great guys, that's for sure.
Yeah,
But
Shane, for sure.
we guys, the story you're asking me a question like that, and I think of I'm in the trenches with these guys, and I dealt with Henry Tillman when he was locked up in the youth authority. He was on my caseload, didn't know anything about boxing. He was the strongest weightlifter in the facility at Southern Reception Center and Clinic. He found out about boxing through me, and I started working with him on the floor in the day room at SRCC. And he goes on to YTS with my good friend Mercer Smith and joined the boxing team. And I was supposed to coach him when he got out, but I told him to stay with Mercer. And I would work with him, help him out on the street when they boxed. But he went to the national championship, and they liked him because he got cheated. They invited him to the Operation Gold program. He trained. He got good enough to make the Olympic team. He beat the kids from Canada, Willis, who was the North American champion and ranked in the world, one of the top heavyweights. Henry beat him in the Olympic gold medal finalist, beat Mike Tyson to get there in the Olympic trials. So when you ask me who's the greatest from LA, I think when you look at the accomplishments of a guy who really didn't have a long career period in terms of he was like 20 years old when he learned anything about 21, when he learned anything about boxing. And he did all that stuff in that period of time. And I'm always in awe when I remember Ali in the Olympic Games, and I remember, man, I'm the one who introduced this guy to the sport, and he made the Olympic game. He won a gold medal. I'm like, and he did it in LA, man. We at home.
Right.
I'm so overly thrilled about that I don't know what to do. The other guys were boxing already. They put in the work. I respect them. Paul Gonzalez is the other guy I was thinking about. He was outstanding boxer in the tournament in Los Angeles. So Paul was a great kid, coached by Al Stanky. But hey, Henry Tillman's my guy when you talk about that because he gave up. He is a street guy. He got in trouble, gave up getting in trouble so he could do this, man. Did it the right way, made us all proud of him.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
So
what
yeah,
it's take.
that's my guy, man.
Well, y'all see my top 5.
Yeah, we love the shirt.
Who do you have there?
So he has
Zab and
right. So the issue I had was I love the shirt. I'm a Zab fan. I'm just not sure if
is
Zab.
that Floyd at the top up there?
Floyd at the top.
Yeah, well, you got
Sugar Ray.
you
Sugar
know what I mean?
Ray.
Mike Tyson in the middle.
Yeah.
Muhammad Ali.
yeah.
And then he has Zab Judah.
Yeah.
And I'm
Well,
thinking
I'm-
it's a
I'm-
lot more options he could have had. But, you know,
it's
Zab is
1,000
the
options,
shooter.
but
Right.
we're talking about this top 5.
Well, the next time, let's talk about the greatest heavyweight of all time, and then I can tell you something.
Okay.
We
that's
talk
what
about the
talking
greatest
Wait,
heavyweight
who's
now.
the greatest heavyweight of all time?
Joe Louis.
Joe Louis.
Joe Louis was a great. Let me tell
He
you,
whooped
Joe
Joe
Louis.
Louis.
Listen, Joe Louis was the greatest closer in the business. Now, my favorite boxer of all time, heavyweight, is Muhammad Ali.
Muhammad Ali.
Because you're talking to a Southerner. We had a chance to get our chin out of our chest because of what this man did, refusing to go to the service, standing up, teaching us how to be proud of ourselves. Okay, along with Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. But the point is that he spoke up when everybody else was afraid to raise their head.
Right.
And he was also a great fighter. The things he did in the ring, people talk about the GOAT today, they shouldn't even use that word unless they're talking about him. But people are running around copping, who's the GOAT over here? Well, there's only one GOAT. This guy was the greatest of all time. He said it. Okay?
Yeah.
So when we talk about that, I just want you to know how I differentiate that guy.
Definitely.
Joe Louis, we don't respect him because we haven't seen him. I had the good fortune at one point I could see all of the history bouts from back in history. When I watched all of those bouts, and I watched Ali, I watched Sugar Ray Robinson, who I thought was the greatest, and I still think he's the greatest boxer. But when I watched Joe Louis, the guy was only 196 pounds. He's beaten 6-7 guys, all that. He's the greatest closer in the sport. Greatest closer in the sport. Anyway, I don't want to.
No.
Yes. Okay. So before we got here, hold on. Wait. I got a gift for you, Coach. So
All right.
Continue.
Yeah, you know, we
Who's your favorite defensive boxer?
Who my favorite?
Do you think? It's
Sugar. Pernell Whitaker.
Sweet Pea.
Sweet Pea. There's no question about it. What did Oscar De La Hoya say after that bout he had with him when they gave him the decision? You remember what he said?
No, I do not.
The most famous was, I couldn't hit him. How did you win? How did you win if you couldn't hit him?
That's true.
So how about greatest jab? Which boxer has?
Oh, well, I think Larry Holmes has the greatest jabs, and there's no question about that. Ali had the jab, but for a guy who wasn't floating around, Larry Holmes has the great. He could beat you with a jab alone.
How about
also?
Go ahead.
Bob Foster had a world class jab, light heavyweight
Foster?
champion.
Yeah.
Oh, he was a beast.
Okay. How about most knockout power?
Well, there were guys who didn't become heavyweight champion in the world that you could give that title to, like Ernie Shavers.
Ernie Shavers.
Probably listening to those guys talk, Ernie Shavers was the most vicious puncher of the heavyweight.
Okay.
But watching them from sitting in our seats, I have to say that when I saw that left hook from Joe Frazier and them punches from George Foreman, nobody punched harder than that. Of course, I had the good fortune of seeing Tyson too, and what he did, it was devastating.
What about Lennox Lewis?
Lennox Lewis,
The pugilist
Lennox Lewis was
specialist.
one of those guys who had good range and he had good, powerful punches. He wouldn't be on the list with the greatest punches.
With the greatest punches.
No,
he
but
was
he could
like
hurt you.
tactical.
Yeah, he was more
definitely.
tactical. Yeah.
All right, cool. Well, Coach, we got something for you. So you see, I got the
help you out
greats
with this?
here. Yeah, so this is for you.
Thank you.
We definitely
I
want to let you know we
yeah,
appreciate
yeah.
Yes.
today. So we appreciate you coming out.
Thank you,
man.
Thank you.
Not a problem.
Thank you, guys.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, so hey, we got
I'm
Coach
humble.
Joe in the building, man. You know what I'm saying? So you got any questions or anything for Coach Joe, and you want to get into boxing as far as a boxer or
Introduce
coach or
your kids
anything?
or
You want to learn how to box?
Definitely,
right.
definitely.
Come learn the sport.
Send him over there to Coach. He's in Compton at the Oscar De La Hoya Gym in Compton at the Sheriff Station.
Actually, it's the Compton YAL. I don't know.
Compton
how that
YAL.
700 North Alameda Street, Compton.
How can they find you? Do you have?
You can call me at you can reach me at Joe Z I'm sorry, what is it? I do boxing, Joe Z at AOL.com, or you can call me at 310-920-1809.
Uh-oh. His phone
He
about to
just said the AOL in that joint.
Hey, it's old. I had it since the 2004 Olympic
If they
Games.
really have
I
questions,
changed
they
it.
can contact us and we can put them in contact
Yes,
with Coach.
definitely.
Yeah.
Are you on IG, TikTok?
Facebook.
We got
Hey,
to
how
turn
you
them
gonna
up.
ask about
Actually, I haven't
IG?
done
gotta
it
turn
yet,
them
but I
up.
don't know
Hey,
what
worried
it is.
about IG. He got AOL.
Yeah,
What
we
you
got to
talking
turn them
about,
up.
bro?
Yeah.
Come on, man.
That's
All
right.
right, hey, so if you
Hey, I went to the 2004 Olympics with Andre and those guys with that, so I kept it.
Right,
Okay,
there we
all
go.
right.
Hey,
I
we're
can
going to
dig
keep the
it.
luck
I can
going, you know what I'm
dig
saying? Hey, so make sure you like, comment, subscribe, you know what I'm saying, and share. If you have
Hit
any
that button.
questions or comments, put them in the ring.
Protect yourself at all times.
Yeah. Thank you,
Oh, God,
Coach.
wait.
Thank you, Coach.
That's right.
sir.
Hold them if you get too wild.